Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello and welcome to Renovation Sportfish. I'm sitting here in front of the V-Berth because that's what we're going to be looking at in this video, is how I put this thing back together. Also going to get into the removal of some of the cockpit, which is a major job. I'm still working on it today. It's January 2020 and I started it at the end of 2018. So major job. I still got a whole summer, I think, working on that, maybe even longer. So anyways, we'll touch on that because that's when I started that project. But first we're going to look at this V-Berth here. Now, like I said, both of these projects were done at the end of 2018, or in 2018 I should say. And I'll show a few pictures of the original V-Berth while I'm sitting here talking about it. Original one had two bulkheads, and you can see here that they were not tabbed into the hull very well. They only had one piece on one side. I don't know if that matters or anything. I put tabbing on both sides on the ones I put in. I also had a third bulkhead up in the front, and I'll show you why I did that in a minute here when I get into this whole thing. But the bulkhead, I'll move out of the way a little bit here so you can see. The bulkhead right here, this is the original one. I reused this one. The one that was in front of it, I used it as a template, but it was too delaminated to actually use it. So I just use it kind of as a template just to make the one that I replaced it with. And then way up there I got a third one going on. And of course it's all covered up right now. I'll open it up and we can take a look at it after I show the pictures of actually doing this. But other than this is original. These side pieces here are the original ones. I just refurbished those, sanded them down, revarnished them. And yeah, and then of course all the top is all new. October 2nd, 2018, and I decided to take another video. I haven't taken one in a while. What I'm working on is the V-Berth. You can see I already got the bulkheads in, tabbed into the hull, these cabinet faces in. So what's left to do is to get everything ready to start putting in the plywood platform on top of this. The original one was in two pieces that were totally screwed down and tabbed into the hull, but there was no access to anything, so it's pretty difficult. And there was mold in there and whatnot, so I decided I'm going to put a piece around the edge, maybe 12 inches, and tab that into the hull, and that'll be permanent. And then in the front here, I'll do a removable piece there, a removable piece where I'm going to put hopefully the air conditioner here, and then another one over here. So everything else will be solidly mounted, even up in the front there. So today I'm putting some supports in. I'm going to try to get these all fabricated and installed along the cabinet here and on these bulkheads, and do a few little pieces up where this little removable storage, possible storage area is. I haven't decided if I wanted to use it or not, but it's there. So that's the task for today. Okay, now that you've seen some photos and little descriptions of what I did over here, we can take a look at this whole area before we get into the whole platform area. So I'll show these. Now these are, take these pieces off real quickly here. Alright, and that's how we would strip the whole thing down. Everything else is permanently in, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll bring you over here and we'll take a look at some of the features and how it went together here. A little closer. Okay, now we'll look at a few features, and I'll try to move slow so I don't make anybody dizzy. But this is the inside of the starboard cabinet, and those screws there are what's holding the cleat on for the panels that sit on there. And then the side panel here is held in with some screws as well into this cabinet. It's a little dark in there, but that's how those are attached. They're also epoxy to the floor. I didn't want the bottoms, in case water did get in here, I didn't want them to get wet like the original ones. And then you can see it's the starboard side. You can see the tabbing. Now the original, if you remember the picture, only had a little piece of tabbing right here, just on this one side. There wasn't anything on the opposite side. But I added it on both sides, and it goes, see if I can get in here, it goes up all the way to the top, basically. Another feature I added, get out of here, you can see the holes up at the top here. And the original one didn't have any ventilation, and there was a lot of mold in there. So these holes, I think, are going to have a couple purposes. I could run wiring or something through here to get from one side of the boat to the other. And they also provide some ventilation. I'll probably keep these top pieces off when I'm not around the boat, just to get a little more circulation in there, especially back in here. Now this is, probably saw a little bit of a clip of that. That's a little storage piece I built. Doesn't quite fit right now, it's a little too tight. I gotta do some work on it, but it fits up in here in the forward piece. Drops right down in between here, and it's just removable because this is the bow of the boat, and if I ever want to get in here to do anything, if there's any issues, I want to be able to get in there. So that's where that goes. It's just not in there now. And this area in the future, this middle piece, I actually want to put my air conditioning and heater in here. The original heater was in the front here. That's the opening for it. I'm going to have to do something to cover that up when I get the new heater in there, just whatever's going to happen with it. But yeah, it should fit in here. I've already taken measurements. So that's where that's going to go. I also, when I put these bulkheads in, I epoxy them to the floor with a fillet right there. The other ones are kind of floating a little bit, so I think it's just going to make things a little more strong up here. And I think that's about it for checking out the bulkheads and the original pieces for now. And then now we could talk about the actual platform pieces that I just took off of there. There's cabinet doors that go on these two openings. That opening in the center is the where the heater goes, which will be a heater and air conditioning when I put in. And there's another piece that goes in this triangle area. That's a removable piece. That's the factory one, is still good, so that goes in there. Cushion goes on there, and yeah, it makes that's how you get a full bed out of it. Okay, with the framing all in, it was time to make these panels. Now these panels are made out of Akume plywood. It's marine grade, and I'll show a close-up of it here so you can see. There's no voids in it at all. But we can take a look at the pictures of how all this went together, and then we'll come back and show a few little features that I didn't have in the pictures or the videos at the time. So today is October 9th, 2018, and today I finally finished the V-Berth. I say finally, but it didn't really take me that long. I just tabbed all these permanent pieces on the edge here, and there are pieces that are removable here that are all fit, and I just got to bring them home and epoxy the bottom sides, sand them, and then bring them back and screw them down. They're going to be removable, but they're going to be screwed down. But anyways, there it is. V-Berth completed. Okay, so look at one of these panels. Pop it out here. These are made out of Akume. It's a marine grade. This is marine grade. Really good quality marine grade plywood. I don't know if you can see the plies there, but there's no voids in this. This is really good quality. I epoxied everything here, all sides, top and bottom. It's been sanded. I still have to varnish all of this. Lightweight, 1/4 inch thick, and it worked really nice in here. Everything fits really good. So I'll point out one more feature of this thing, and then we'll get on to the cockpit area. Okay, so just one of the features I wanted to point out, just because I'm pretty proud of it, and I thought it was a good solution for this area. Where this came back, it was going to be kind of a pointy piece, and I didn't want it to be a pointy piece, so I cut this little thing into it here when I fit it up, and they came out really good. And I don't know, I just wanted to show that. I'm usually not showing too many little features like that, but that one was pretty cool, and it looks pretty cool too. So anyways, yeah, that's it. Hopefully someday soon I'll be sleeping in this thing and being on the water. So anyways, that's it for the V-Berth. The next project we're going to look at here was the the start of the removal and repair of everything here in the cockpit where I'm standing right now. Obviously, we're a little further along now than what I'm showing in this video because it's 2020. But in this segment of the cockpit, it's going to be about removing the old stuff that was here. Now, in the video clip I have at the beginning, which I took at the time that I did it, talk about saving some of the pieces. Well, no, they were all pretty bad. Once I ripped everything off, all the framing was shot. So I could use some of it for templates, but for the most part, all the framing back here had to be redone. I'm not going to get into that in this video. This video I'm going to stop it right when I get everything removed, and that's going to be it, and then we'll wrap it up. So here's the start of the major cockpit project. Well, today is December 8th, 2018. Pretty cold out there today. It's probably in, I'd say, high 20s. A little breeze out there, but, you know, at least the breeze is cut down here underneath the shrink wrap. But today's the day I'm starting on this cockpit. I had already removed some of the teak quite a few years ago, just to see, and replaced it with that plywood right there. Did it on both sides. I made some temporary hatches. These have served themselves well as I'm working back here, but it's time to get this stuff out of here and start doing the real work. It's the last major project, I'd say, inside the boat. Bottom's going to be a major project, but that's for another day and another season. But here, the goal now is to remove the remaining teak in the back here. And that piece of lower trim. I have to remove that lower piece of trim to actually get the teak off because some of the plugs are underneath it. So the first thing I'll tackle is that piece of trim. I want to keep the trim. It's teak and it's in good shape. Whether I keep it and use it or use it at least as a template for a piece of mahogany or something, I don't know yet. But I don't want to just rip it off. I want to remove the screws and do it right. So it's one big long piece, so it's pretty nice. As far as the decking, these are all attached with not screws but bronze ring shank nails. You can see the head of the nails here because most of the wood plugs have popped off over the years, and yeah, they're just exposed. So what I basically have to do is drill those out with a spot weld cutter, which is right about the right size, about 3/8 of an inch or something. And I used it to take the other ones off, so I know it works. It's a little tedious, but yeah, it'll work, and it'll get the job done. I also have to remove all the black caulking between these planks. Well, we'll break in here. I actually didn't film any of the removal of the rubber in between these kind of planks. So I just set a couple of these decking planks here just to show. Now, I had two tools at my disposal. Neither of these are actually made for this. This one here is made for grout and tiles, and this one here, I'm not really sure what it's for, but it kind of worked. There is a tool that is specially made for this that you could pick up. You probably have to Google it, but it's very similar to this right here. So this is what one I preferred here, and basically I just stuck it in between and just went along like that, pulled out, and then kind of went along this side as well, and then just kept going at it until it all came out, and it worked pretty good. Everything you have to be careful is you don't want to gouge the wood, because then that would not be good. But it worked good. You can see the wood's not all gouged up there. Just take your time and do it. The planks are actually have almost like a V shape to the edges, so they basically touch at the bottom, but at the top there's a gap for the caulk. And it's not how I'm going to do it when I put everything back, but that's how they did it. There's no sub deck or anything on this. It's just nailed right down to the framing. The framing is questionable. You can see here the ends of these are pretty rotted. This frame will be replaced. Try to save as much of this framing as I can. I can use it in other ways, as like cross bracing or something for the new framing. So just the ends are pretty toast there. I think underneath all this other wood is not too bad. So the idea is to make from the hatch edge back permanent, because there is a beam that runs all along here. So I'd like to keep that beam. That would be this one right there. The end has a split in it, but I think I can do something with that. Just shore it up on the sides or something, double beam it. The rest of it looks good underneath. Then where this plywood is, I would make that a removable piece. Semi-removable, I would say. Just to hopefully in the future remove the tanks that are under there, fuel tanks. And then instead of having, hard to see here, but there's 3 hatches there, 1 hatch here, we make all these hatches. So I'll have 6 hatches and a solid, bigger solid piece in the middle that'll be removable and tied into the stringers for support through the middle. So in the end, I should be able to remove 75% of this deck to ever get at anything or do anything when I do the engine changes or the tank changes or anything. It'll be a lot of room to work back here and it'll be really nice. But there's some engineering involved to get it to that point. But first step is to get the rest of this teak off and see what I got to work with. Saturday, December 15th, 2018, and been working on removing all of the cockpit decking. So you can see the engines. I just took out the fuel lines. That's the port side engine, fuel tank, muffler, exhaust system. Built this little stair so I can get into the cabin. Here's the starboard side engine. Still has some wiring attached to it, but all the fuel lines are off it. Fuel tank. Standing on a stair I put on the stern of the boat just to get into the... That's the stair I built yesterday, just to get down from the outside. But that's it. Now it's time to take off the rest of this remaining decking on the edges here, both sides. and then start rebuilding. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it and you come back for the next one. And speaking of the next one, the next video I'm going to put out is going to be the last video of projects for 2018. So that's pretty good. That means we're only about a year, just a little over a year from real time right now. We're never going to really catch up to real time. I'm always going to leave a little buffer there, but we'll be closer and it'll be good. And also in 2019, I did a little work in front of the camera, so format will be a little different and hopefully just as good, if not better, than what we're doing now. So anyways, until then, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.